Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Animated Universe Deluxe Class Fugitive, say it with me now, Waspinator, who has plans. And boy oh boy, was that a mouthful. Not only is that what she said, but this, of course, is brought to us by the fine folks over at Hasbro, as well as Walmart.com, who had this guy on sale for 20 bucks. So I was like, hot dog, and added him to my order to get free shipping, only for Walmart to cancel the other half of my order because it was not in stock. So kudos to you on that one, but hey, I got the free shipping anyway, so can I really complain? Of course I can. It's the internet. I can do what I want. Especially since this is my channel. You rolled the dice when you stepped off the curb clipping on this video. So, don't come crying to me. That said, I will say, I do find it funny that both Decepticons we have from the Animated Universe subline are variants of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. Really starting to wonder when that Lugnut we were low-key promised is going to come out. But hey, at the end of the day, we should just appreciate what we have, right? While we're at it, we might as well just start sucking penars, because newsflash, that defeats the whole purpose of collecting in the first place. If there was nothing new to collect, then we would not be collectors. So, this concludes Overlord's educational lesson of the day, you hypocrites. So, with that being said, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Waspinator has to offer in terms of accessories. And you guessed it, it's the same blasters that Bumblebee came with, right down to the blast effects / stinger blades. There you go. And outside of a color swap, the only thing that is new on this guy is his head sculpt. But in case you haven't seen the Transformers animated series from, gosh, almost 20 years ago now, Waspinator, aka Stinger here, that's what he was actually called in the show. I'm guessing Hasbro can't call him that due to some weird licensing mumbo-jumbo, but we won't get into all of that. But Stinger here was thrown under the bus by Bumblebee in the series, but in fact was framed by Shockwave, who was in disguise as Lockdown, and thus Stinger here went insane and became Waspinator, who we will hopefully see not as a simple head swap of the Beast Wars version, because the animated version of Waspinator deserves a mold all his own. That said, as far as Stinger goes, this is pretty accurate to how he appeared in the show, albeit minus some pointy bits I think he had. My memory serves me right, but for the most part, it's fine. Gets the job done, and it's the only time we've ever gotten this version of Stinger as a figure. We didn't even get him back in the day, even though, once again, could have just been a Bumblebee repaint. So, as far as his articulation goes, it's the same as the Bumblebee we looked at the other day, but I'll break it down in case you haven't checked that review out yet. He's got a ball joint in the head. He can look up really well. Of course, he can rotate side to side and a little bit of tilt, but not a ton. Shoulders can go out about that far. Not great, but gets the job done, I guess. He can rotate back and forth. And then he's got a secondary swivel joint, because the shoulders themselves don't rotate all the way back, so you got to do this to get his arm to go back. But like I said, it is like a weird double elbow situation. That said, his actual elbow can bend about 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep, as well as at the wrist. They're a little stiff on this guy. Can't remember if they were like that on Bumblebee, but at any rate, I'd rather have a stiff joint than a loose one. Once again, that's what she said. He's got a waist twist, and on mine at least, the torso does not stay together very well, so I'm able to get this really good ab crunch out of him. You can bend this far forward. Can't really bend back, but the only problem with that is it does dislodge the chest plate here. So if I flatten this out, I can push this back down, and that locks everything into place. But on Bumblebee, this back tab on the back of the waist, or midsection, snapped into the back of the figure, and it was a much more solid connection. I don't remember the chest plate being as tight, but I'd rather that back piece be tight than the chest plate, because the chest plate will at least sit there in place, while this can come unlodged just by trying to pose a figure, and it gets really fidgety and really annoying real fast. But as far as the hips go, they can kick out, kick back down, they can kick forward, they can kick back. He's got a thigh cut. He's got a single jointed knee with that little kneecap that folds back. But keep in mind, it will dislodge the shins when you do that, so you'll have to finagle with that if you want them to sit flush. That said, he does have ankle tilt, but it's really difficult to get that dislodged. There you go. And once you do, it works fine. You can get a little bit out of it. You can even get a little bit of forward and back out of it, but like I said, it's really difficult to get that dislodged, so I tend to not use that all the time, just because. So that is Waspinator, aka Stinger, in a nutshell. Not a bad figure, especially if you're like me and are collecting these Transformers animated releases, but definitely not the most exciting. So why don't we put his blasters in his hands here. There's one. There is two. And yeah, there he is rocking his dual blasters with the little effect pieces that you can use as blades as well. But hopefully the next Decepticon and Transformers Animated is a little more exciting, because while I try to appreciate what I have, it kind of sucks when it is just a variant, and it's got a little bit of a mold degradation issue. Not to mention, anyone who says appreciate what you have probably orders things early off Amazon because they're too impatient to wait for them to process on BBTS. You know who you are, once again, you hypocrites. That said, why don't we bring in our two regulars, the Mythic Legions, Brother Mandibilith, and the infamous 11 Spawn, who, as usual, towers over everyone. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and while he may be based off a really solid Bumblebee mold, I have to say I don't enjoy good old Waspinator as much as him, mostly because the torso not connecting properly, at least on my particular figure, really killing my buzz for this guy. Get it? Because he's a bug. Buzz, buzz. Other than that, if you manage to get this guy and don't have this problem, I would say he's just as solid as the Bumblebee, if not a little bit more so, because we don't really see this character pop up often. Not Waspinator, but what his real name is, Stinger. Other than the few Age of Extinction Stinger figures, we've never gotten this guy in figure form before, so it's nice to see him show up here, despite the fact that the mold has appeared to have suffered some degradation due to reuse. Again, at least as far as my particular figure goes. So, with that being said, before we wrap this sucker up, why don't we get good old Waspinator transformed and take a closer look at his vehicle mode. And as promised, here we have good old Waspinator, aka Stinger, in his vehicle mode. And like Bumblebee, he turns into this little teeny tiny car whose blasters turn into thrusters for the back, and also, just like Bumblebee, he can roll back and forth. Whee! Whee! And that is that. And can I just say, I'm glad this character adopted the Wasp alt mode later on in the series, because as far as an alt mode for a Decepticon goes, This is just wrong. This is one of the most adorable alt modes I've ever seen for a Transformer, Autobot, Decepticon, or otherwise. But as far as being an alt mode for a Decepticon goes, to me at least, it's just wrong. In so many ways. But you know what? That's not the only thing that's wrong around here. Because I'm wrong. This video review is wrong. This channel is wrong. You're wrong. They're wrong. Everyone is wrong. Hasbro is wrong. Mattel is wrong. Four Horsemen Studios is wrong. Red Sonja is wrong. The person who made that statement about appreciating everything you have is wrong, because if you're a collector and, I don't know, collect things, you probably don't do that. Furthermore, if that song from the Lego movie, Everything Was Awesome, was rewritten today, it would be called Everything Is Wrong. What are we doing again? Oh yeah. Waspinator / Stinger's alt mode. Pretty good. Just like the Bumblebee that came before him. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review, for better or for worse. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.
Isn't that cute? But it's wrong!